Hello, everyone. Welcome to ForcedToPod, a Force to White production. My name is Saxon, but you can call me Sax. Joining me tonight, the two gentlemen. I have the man who knows no stranger nor pepper too spicy, sports ball fan. It's put up or shut up time, Nick. We're turning around. How you doing, man? How are we feeling? Indiana versus Notre Dame tomorrow.
State championship on the line.
It is
state championship.
It's the only two football programs in the whole state of Indiana. Everybody knows that.
No, that's good. That's good. That's a good way to phrase it. I like it.
Program,
it's not, though. I mean, there is Purdue, but whatever.
It's Purdue. They have a great engineering school.
Marion's pretty good.
They've turned out several astronauts.
Because they just want to get off this planet, get as far away from Purdue as possible.
Fuck out of Indiana,
get as far away from West Lafayette as we can.
Yep.
No, I don't. This might be a topic for another podcast because I don't want to bring it up tonight. But I don't get deep into the sports fandom because, in my view, it's mental illness when you get that far into it. It's fun. I do get a little worked up, and then a day or two later, it's whatever. I'm over it. I'm not talking trash online. I might send some memes to one of my buddies who's a Notre Dame fan, if they lose or whatever. But yeah, it should be fun. It's been a good Yeah, there you go. It's been a good season so far. A very unexpected season for Indiana football fans. This is unprecedented, literally. There's never been a season like this. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm gonna try my best to tune in, get into it. I don't think we have anything going on. And I've been telling you boys, but we got the new basement. We got the furniture in the basement. We got the TV up there.
The big TV?
The
big
150-inch
TV.
Not that big, but we did bring, I can't remember if I told you guys off the recording or on recording. This time's a flat circle, but got a 65 down there. And I know this is such a first world problem thing. It was just too small for the space. And so there's never a better time to take a TV back than when you have not opened it. And so we took it back and got a 77 here. It is awesome. It's been great. Love having it. I'm gonna watch some football. On Sunday on it. It was awesome. So I was
having a good chuckle at your problems with Kristen when you were texting us about this TV's too small. She's like, why doesn't you just get a projector? No,
honestly, we might have had the situation for. I think we might have the setup down there to make it work. Two things. I'm very tall. So if I stand up from it, because it's going to have to project from behind me. I stand up.
Short throw.
Short throw?
Yeah, short
throw. Yeah.
Throw that
throw
on
projector, but they, double the price of whatever you're paying for.
And directly above where the TV is one of the little quarter windows because it's in the basement. So it's just there's a host of things that have to get all that stuff. So it's not a bad idea. Just didn't work in this situation. But yeah, looking forward to the sports ball this weekend. Gonna get in there. And but second, joining the pod, the man who'd always rather be outside, desperately needs this trip that's coming up. We cannot wait to hear all about it because we love sharing about our travel adventures on the podcast. The one and only I Am the Mountain Man, Walker. How the hell are you, man?
I'm sure here. Yep. Today is one of the days of all time.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
No, it's just good. I just got off a work meeting, so, and we'll see if I'm able to attend the Indiana game tomorrow. Well, not attend, but you might have actually encouraged me to watch a football game.
It's going to cost you a lot of money if you want to attend.
Yeah, attend. Yeah. No, virtually. I don't know. I don't watch sports. That's how you attend a sports broadcast, right?
Yeah, I've attended several sports this year.
No,
you go to very loud sports.
Yeah.
The Indy 500.
That one's
very loud.
You know what? The Brickyard, the NASCAR race is far louder than the Indy 500.
Oh, really?
Those cars are, the Indy cars are loud when they're on a pack and together, but the NASCAR Cup Series cars, well, even the trucks and the Xfinity cars are a different level. It's crazy. I'm sure you've heard the difference between older Formula One cars, the V10s that sound like literal demons, and the newer ones, which are still loud, but not as loud, because they're V6s, they're hybrid power, they rev pretty high. But the Indy cars are also turboed V6s, and the NASCAR are just big block V8s. Like they're just churning and burning a bunch of noise out of a motor with it's cut off at the headers essentially. There's no exhaust on it. It's just going. So it's a whole different feel. But yes, they're both pretty loud. But
I've probably heard the difference. I would not be able to tell you which was louder or not. I just one of those things. So
we got to talk about those hybrid powertrains at some point, because those are fascinating from an engineering perspective.
Well,
awesome. It's like
to
1,000 horsepower or something.
For the Formula One cars, I have about 1,000 horsepower. The IndyCar this year, I think, was like 7 something, but they have a new hybrid motor that they're using. They tested a couple of times in a few different races. That's like 950. And I can't remember how much the NASCAR guys are running, but they have different packages. So it depends on what the racetrack they're racing on. Different aero packages on the car and different horsepower for to cause better
Somebody
racing
did some math
for the
on
environment.
That, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I hate that personally.
Can we talk for a second about the concept of horsepower and the fact that like one horse has more horsepower than one horse? Like
4 point something.
Yeah, I thought it was like 15. I don't know. Somebody did.
Have our horses just got better? Like, did it start at the baseline?
Horse, right? Like a Clydesdale versus a pony, you're going to have different,
I suppose.
14.9
what is the
horsepower.
baseline horse that they drew?
What is the NIST standard horse? Yeah.
Yes.
Hold on, let me tweet them.
That's another great topic, honestly. The National Institute of Standards has a standard jar of peanut butter that they have for reasons.
Did you learn about that in that little book in the
ref book?
Yeah, the ref book.
God, I love the ref book. I read it sometimes.
From the lost footage that will never come to light because we corrupted the file.
Lost, wasn't it? No.
Our full media book club conversation that we haven't brought back yet. We'll bring back in the new year. I still think that's a banger.
That was actually a good bit. That was a good section.
But we lost all of it, and unfortunately, all of you guys had to. I had to like record a little tag to the end of that episode, like a YouTube apology video. I felt like it was so dour. So I don't think either of you guys watched it, but I put it up there just because I wanted it, because that's the main thing with all this. Like, if nothing comes from this, we will always be able to look back and be like, what were we doing on December 19th, 2024?
Yeah.
We were talking about this, and work was crappy, but still made it to our therapy session. So,
hell yeah, therapy's good for you, bro.
There you go. Did you find anything about the horsepower, Nick? I was trying to buy you a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, I found it pretty quick. The AI on my Microsoft Bing search says 14.9 horsepower for one horse.
14.9.
Sheesh.
And the average human only has a maximum output of 1.2 horsepower.
So it's a unit of it is a unit of power, obviously. So.
It's a whole thing. It really would be a whole topic. It's quickly turning into that right now, but
regardless.
We'll maybe we'll circle back to that at some point. But folks, this is our 12th episode of the podcast, and it wasn't until I was typing out our intro that I realized how oddly the word 12th is spelled.
Ooh, ew.
TWELFTH. The word elf just like sneaks in there. Just one of those words for me. I don't even say it very often, so I probably don't even say it like as proper as it could, but I definitely don't write it out there. It's 1-2 TH for me every time. So
I'm just going to, from here on out, consider it a slur.
Yeah, we probably should. I think that's honestly why they did a baker's dozen as 13, because they wanted to say like, oh, there was a problem with that last donut. Oh, you mean the 12th one? No. We don't say the 13th one. We just rounded up. So, but anyways, I wanted to, for my topic tonight, I want to circle back and briefly touch on our topic from last week. So last week we were talking about kind of compare and contrast in video games in 2024, 2025. And then we talked about, the highest rated games from this year. And then we were talking about the things we were excited about for next year. Didn't even have the foresight, and we're new here. We're amateurs, whatever. Don't judge us. But didn't have the foresight to say like, hey, do we have any predictions for what could be coming out for the Game Awards? I think that'd be cool to do in the future. However, I don't think we would have gotten any of these. Like maybe
No, it's nuts.
Like dipped our toe in. And I'll let you at home, so we don't linger too long on it as our first topic. I'll let you at home look at all the things that were announced, because there were a lot of games that weren't really for me. But I feel like for us, the three of us, there were 3 games in particular that I would pull out. So the first one was dropped literally off the rip. Was the first big announcement, which was The Witcher 4. Yep. CD Projekt Red has been working on it. So if anyone doesn't know, Cyberpunk 2077 was their last big game they put out. Came out in a rough state, but during the pandemic, I played it on PC, didn't have too many issues, but the console launch was horrendous. We've talked about this on other podcasts. They've gone back and they've just been cooking. They've kept cooking, and they got that game to an amazing place. If you've not played Cyberpunk, you should definitely do that. However,
it's real good.
Yeah, they basically came out recently and said, hey, we have moved off of Cyberpunk. They are no longer in production for that game. They've kind of got it to a place where, I'm sure they have a small ragtag team that are keeping an eye on things and making sure, because there are a few little online components. But they have brought up that they are now moved on to the next Witcher project. That being, now we know, The Witcher 4. Ciri is the protagonist. In this game, she's all grown up and doing that. So, boys, this is where I admit I've never played through any of the Witcher games. I've started The Witcher 3 like 5 times, and I've bought it on like 4 different platforms, but I've never played all the way through it. I don't really have a desire to. Heather says that The Witcher 3 is the game that got her into video games, sitting down with her brother Cameron and them just playing through and finding everything and 100%ing The Witcher 3. But I just want to see, do you have any love for The Witcher, or where are you at, Walker? I'm seeing
the combat is rough. Honestly,
yeah,
it is rough.
It gets me every time I try to start it up. That's probably the main reason that I dip off of it when I have. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Did they show? I didn't actually. I tried to avoid the Witcher 4 stuff because I like to go in as blind as possible.
Sure.
But did they show any? They didn't show any gameplay, did they?
No. This is real early days. Honestly, one of the most notable things about it was they had a little tagline at the bottom that says it was rendered on an unannounced NVIDIA GPU. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Something that's more expensive with less power.
Literally the first trailer that dropped for the night, and then I was expecting more to be like, rendered on an unannounced AMD GPU or what, because all the game companies have different deals with the different. Starfield notoriously had an AMD deal, so they didn't have whatever the DLSS they didn't have for NVIDIA's DLSS when the game first came out, but modders were able to turn it on. So they think there was like a timed deal because they pushed it out later, like that kind of stuff. So no gameplay, anything of that sort. But I don't know. Did you play Nick? Obviously, I know you have, but Walker, did you play Diablo 4 at all?
A little bit. I do own it. I only played a bit. I like the formula, but I haven't had. Do you remember last 6 months? I haven't had any time.
Specifically, do you remember the opening cinematic cutscene thing where they brought Lilith back? That's kind of the vibe that this had. It was like nothing that I would expect to look like the game will play, if that makes sense. Because it was. I mean, it was just
right.
It was all cinematic stuff.
Okay.
So it was a tone piece. So if that doesn't do anything for you, then I would be like, yeah, definitely watch it because it was sick.
No, I'll probably go watch it then. Where I was going with that is that I will be interested because obviously Cyberpunk is first person. I strongly believe they'll probably go back to third person for Witcher, but I sincerely hope they have learned some lessons from Cyberpunk from a combat perspective, because the combat in Cyberpunk is actually really nice.
Yeah.
The way that the combat mods work, and you can do the, stand, all the time, whatever, stop. It's great.
Time dilation.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's it feels really fluid and very good. And I think that if they nail the combat on The Witcher with some influence from Cyberpunk in whatever way that is, I'm not sure I'd want it to be first person. Probably not, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you would translate that. That was by far the weak point of The Witcher 3, I felt, especially compared to the Souls likes I play all the time.
My early impressions of it were I'm a huge iframe guy. So like any game that you have where you can, and for anyone who doesn't know, iframe or stands for like immunity frame, where like, or immune frame, whatever, where you dodge. And if you time your dodge properly, like say the enemy is slicing you with a sword, if you dodge at the moment that that sword would interact with you, the game registers you as missing or that missing you. And so if you get good, which is a term that's used a lot in gaming, get good simply, and you understand how the game is, that dance is happening with a certain enemy. Yeah, it might wreck you at first, but as you learn those patterns and stuff, dodging at the right moment, things of that sort, you can get better. I didn't get the feeling of that with The Witcher. And then the other thing that threw me off with Witcher combat, like I said, I've started the game like 4 or 5 times. I've probably put a good 20 hours into it, because it takes about 4 or 5 hours to get into the place where you're really starting to explore things of that sort, feeling it. You hit this place where you're also trying to do these spells, like the spell casting type things, like things of that sort, and dealing with like potions and stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. So I have no clue where they'll go with that. I'm sure that they will keep a lot of that formula, but I do agree with you. I think there's been a lot of advancements with like third person combat, like action combat games that they could definitely take from. So directly after The Witcher 4 was announced, like immediately, they cut to black for that, and they did cut to Jeff Keighley on the stage because he looked like he was about to explode with excitement. And then directly after that, he announced the next game that came on there. And so it was a game that felt very familiar. I didn't immediately pick up on what I was looking at. And then all of a sudden it cuts close. There's this like blue fog that moves across the ground. And all of a sudden I see that there is an Elden Ring bonfire on the ground. And I about crapped my pants because I was like, it was kind of like the Jesse meme from Breaking Bad. Like they can't keep getting away with this, but in like the most joyful sense of the meme. Like I could not believe the fact that something else was coming from FromSoft, like in this quick succession, like Elden Ring,
fast.
and then Armored Core, and then Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and now in 2025 announced another team has been working. So this game, Elden Ring Night Rain, is a spin-off in an alternate universe of Elden Ring. So essentially how this is going to play, I'm not sure how much you guys have dove into it, like the actual details on what the game is going to be. Essentially the game, which is actually kind of enraging people right now, and it seems funny and kind of odd to me, but nothing to get that mad about. The game can either be played solo or in a trio. You can't play with 2 people, and you are picking from no duos.
Okay, that's kind of weird, honestly.
Yeah, you can't play with just 2, at least at this point. So what the concept is you are picking one of 8 special like hero characters. And these characters are just going to be certain archetypes going through. So there'll be like all rounders, and then there's going to be some characters that will have like the quick step, things of that sort. Like, things that are honestly, it's probably just the most popular builds that people are playing and, inspired by that. And so what you're doing is you're being released into this world, this alternate version of what originally like looked like Limgrave, but then you start seeing shots of like Radahn's arena, but it's not Radahn there. It's like a Cerberus, like 3, but split into multiple. And so what you're doing in essence is you are on a 3-day cycle, and your goal is to make it to the end of this 3-day cycle. So you will start, and you will move through the world during the daytime, and you're going to start like say at level 1, you're going out to different parts of the map, fighting enemies, picking up souls or runes or whatever you want to call it, and you're going to be leveling up. You're going to be picking up gear while you're doing that as well, making yourself stronger in this run. And then what happens is, in a similar way to like a Fortnite or some battle royale, the map will start to close in with this fog or this storm, essentially, that's going to push you to a central location where you and all your teammates will meet up, and you will fight the boss at the end of the first day. Once you defeat that boss, it will move into the second day. And so you will expand again. So that's why the movement of all the characters is like so much faster than normal Elden Ring. There's like scaling of walls as you're going. There's key characters that have movements where you can call in, like one calls in like a spectral bird that can kind of fly across. And I'm not sure if that's something that all of them have. I just saw one type of character have that ability to do that. But it will continue to push you to the center point. And then I guess there are 8 unique day 3 bosses. So your goal is to get to the end of the third day. And if you guys all die, you will die. And it ends your run. The days are supposed to take 15 minutes. So it's like little 45-minute runs to go in and kind of cycle through. And so it has like roguelite elements to it, because you're going to go in with a base level. I'm just not sure if things are going to carry over between runs. Like I'm assuming that you are collecting certain gear and things of that sort, but they've said that it's not a live service game. It's not something that they expect to have things like battle passes, things of that sort. They may add new characters over time, things of that, but
I'm not going to play unless I can play as Eminem.
Well, that was actually my question, because like I know I'll play it. I know Walker's about to play this game. Like we're at least going to touch it. So Nick, where do you come down on something like this? Because I immediately posted it. I had created a thread in our Discord and said, "Hey, let's talk about the Game Awards here," and then immediately broke it when they dropped this. And I was like, okay, I need to make sure everyone sees this, because this is nucking futz. Like I was like, we got to go. So where do you come down on this, Nick? Because you're like famously not an Elden Ring guy. You said you don't want to do that, but how do you feel about the idea of going in with other people?
I'm less excited now that you told me you can't do 2 people, because that means
it's a little weird.
A random Friday during the workday, I can't just hit you up and say, "Hey, you want to throw down for 45 minutes or whatever," like we do in Fortnite sometimes. So I don't know.
Allegedly.
We'll see. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. My boss is listening.
God, that would be the worst.
So I don't think it's that you can't load in. I just think you're probably going to get a random third, is what I would assume. Is that you would go in. I would think so. I don't know why, other than if you had someone who's griefing you. Like I don't know how the loot system's going to work. If I go, like, let's say we move together. Let's say somehow I get Heather to install this game and we go play it. And she's like, "Okay, I'll play it, but I'm sticking with you. Like, I don't feel comfortable at first going off. Okay, if we go and we kill this enemy and it drops a great sword, and I want this, but I'm like, she picks it up and she's like, can't figure out how to drop it or whatever. Or I don't even know if you can. Like, if you can drop it for other people.
Loot goblin.
Yeah, for real. Going straight past. But, it's just one of those things. There's so many unknowns. However, I do believe in February they're doing a network test. So they haven't announced yet. I think in January they're going to announce for you to be able to get into that. So just kind of keep your eye open for that if you're interested.
Well, I'll tell you this. I can guarantee I'll at least try it if it comes to Game Pass.
Well, today's news did not bode well for that, because Sony just took a majority stake in the parent company that owns From Software today. So, but
I want
Tencent,
Xbox to buy everything.
I know, right?
Because I already have one.
Tencent has historically already had like a 6.2% stake, and I think Sony now has a 10% stake.
Right.
I don't think that that's going to be enough for shareholder value. Like I think there's no world where they can say like, okay, we're only going to put stuff on PlayStation because that's going to make the most money for shareholders.
If it's not on PC,
you know
you count me out forever. I'm not buying a PS5.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I don't know. It depends on pricing and when it releases and what kind of stupid what kind of stupid shit I bought
$40.
that much.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's coming out for $40. They said it's going to be right in the same neighborhood as what Shadow of the Erdtree was.
CD keys or isthereanydeal.com.
Yeah, throw it on there, man. I think it's going to be stupid fun. Stupid fun as in like crazy things are going to happen in the game because crazy stuff already happens when it's just you versus the environment. So putting other people in there, like I guess there was some ability. So they're showcased in the trailer. There's this ability that one of the guys has where he flies up into the air. He just does a dive bomb because these characters have like alts essentially that you can perform and try to line up with your characters or with the other characters. And he's flying up and I guess there's some sort of like rogue or like wizard type class, mage class where you can sit back. And something about that, I may be getting the classes wrong, but I know the essence of it was that the alt for the mage or whoever was standing further back, you can essentially double the action that just took place. So like the attack that just happened, that dude casting his alt, flying up in the air and coming down, smashing the whole area and the boss. If they cast their alt like strategically directly after, you can duplicate it and get twice as much damage out of it. But you have to have that collaboration with your teammates. So things like that, it's just like we've been doing it in other games, but not in FromSoft. Other than I know that we have a few people in our clan that have messed around and played like with Elden Ring mods. Where you take the game offline and then there's a way you can mod your game so you can go into each other's world and you can take things back to your own game and stuff.
Fighting Clifford the Big Red Dog or whatever.
Yep. Get in there. So, Walker, do you have any thoughts on Elden Ring Night Rain?
Yeah, no, I'll play it for sure. I'm definitely going to play it. I love everything FromSoft does. I'm very interested to see more what it is. What I'd heard was that it was one of the other developers in the studio taking the reins for this one, and just sort of messing around, seeing what they can do, and it's the sort of thing that's great for somebody to really push boundaries and see some cool shit. So I'm looking forward to it.
And it's one of those things too. Like Miyazaki is not directing it, which I think a lot of people have been. I mean, he's one dude. He can't direct everything, and they put everything out at this pace, which ties into the next game that we're about to talk about. But the core concept to finish up what I was saying is the guy, and I don't have his name off the top of my head, but the gentleman who is directing this game, he's been with them on projects such as Elden Ring. He's been like an executive producer on Elden Ring and Bloodborne. And I think, I can't remember if he was on Dark Souls 3. I do think he was on Dark Souls 2, which most people would say is the lowest like of the series. But like it's kind of like when we talk about like OLED TVs, like the lowest OLED TV is still way better than like the best LCD TV, right? Like, or it's at least at that bar. It's the same kind of idea with Dark Souls 2. It's like Dark Souls 2 is the worst of these types of games, but still so much better than most other games.
Still a great game.
If you can get around. But the final game that kind of falls in our territory, they announced a ton of games, but falls in our territory is the new game that's going to come out from Naughty Dog. Now, we don't know if this is 2025. Very likely not 2025 because it had no date on it. But it did say that it was being created for PS5. So we know that's not necessarily going to push the bounds of that.
Right.
I mean, with GTA conversation, it's valid, but this game is called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Okay. Intergalactic is what they're...
Is this a game about the Beastie Boys?
I don't know if it had Beastie Boys in it, but...
all right. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you might have went over my head. With whatever the joke is, but intergalactic is the term for the Last of Us or what, like that is the name. And then they have like the subtitle, the Heretic Prophet. So the concept for this one was if in the 80s space travel, like just exploded. So like we went to space.
There's a
super
Challenger
cool
joke in there somewhere.
Oh Lord. Went to space, and then just everything just became just this boom. So the thing that's kind of cool about it is it definitely looks like it has a lot of gameplay elements of things like The Last of Us, things of that sort. But still like the third person over the shoulder, whatever deal,
Yeah.
nitty
Not a
gritty,
dog.
like when you got out there. But the thing that was cool about it is it's hyper, like there's a lot of branding in it. Like the ship that the protagonist is flying in is a Porsche ship, just branded across the back. She's
What if Nazis made
watching,
spaceships?
yeah, she's watching
Porsche.
Akira, like in
Oh,
the ship,
interesting.
and she puts on like a jacket that almost like exactly mimics
Oh yeah.
one of the sequences. As she's moving through, she's wearing like white Adidas with the like flower logo, the old school flower Adidas logo. She has based off of, I can't remember, it's also from Akira, but it's inspired by one of those shows where it's like a Sony disc changer that like takes an arm up and grabs the disc, and it's just a CD like, and puts it on. It's super cool. Like the stylization of it's really cool. We don't really know much about it, so won't talk too much more about it, but it's another thing from Naughty Dog. It's cool to see them doing something else, because I would have just
Yeah.
expected that they were just cooking The Last of Us 3 and
Give
going
me some
from
more
there.
Crash
So
Bandicoot, baby.
they did
Oh yeah.
throw that
That
up.
would be something, honestly.
Yeah, they did throw that up on the screen, like at the beginning of it, from the makers of, and the first thing's like Crash Bandicoot, and like how many people were probably like, oh, we had no clue like that's where that came from. And so I think that's under Activision now, which is really funny because that would be
Xbox.
fully on Xbox. So but yeah,
It's on Game Pass.
so
and
the
Spyro.
last thing that I wanted to say about the Game Awards, I sent this in our Discord, but this is just a picture. It was a graph. So Reggie Fils-Aimé, which used to be, he's the guy who used to be the president of Nintendo of America until he retired. So he was through like the Wii and the launch of the Switch and things of that sort. He tweeted out this graph. I don't even know where he got it from, but viewership for the Game Awards versus similar entertainment events in sports. So this is in millions. So you have at the very bottom, you have the VMAs, the Video Music Awards, at 1.9 million. These are the highest that they've ever reached. And we're going to just start at the bottom and move through these quickly. The MLB World Series, 11.5. Huh. There's two numbers down there. Anyways, the Grammys. Yeah, the Grammys appear to have hit 26.2 million people concurrent. The Academy Awards, 45.2. And then as we're hopping up there, you see the Super Bowl hit 118 million at its peak. And boys, I would have you guess if I hadn't sent that to you, but since I sent it to you, I'll just say it. The Game Awards for 2024 reached 154 million people concurrently watching across all possible platforms.
There's a lot of nerds out there.
Yes. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that there's a lot of Japanese representation there. I mean, there's representation from across the world, right? With all the games that are being developed. But there's also, for the first time, the makers of, or Black Myth Wukong was put up for Game of the Year and all kinds of other awards, which was a Chinese developed game. So it was the first time that there was a game developed in China that was put up as well. And I'd be interested. I don't have any data, but I would be very interested to know how much of that played into that.
You're probably
but this is an absolute juggernaut of an event.
Probably not fighting markets and advertising and networks and all that nonsense. Like, the Super Bowl is only on CBS or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
my
just can't
reaction. I just have to imagine that there's a ton of, like you said, a ton of international viewers. I bet the percentage of international viewers for the Game Awards is, substantially higher than the percentage of international viewers for Super Bowl. And that doesn't take away from the numbers. I want to check the sources before I said they were true, right? But
sure.
But I could totally see it being legit, just based on, there are probably way more people in the world who play video games than watch American football. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's wild to me that they know and care about this event that happens in America on an American time zone.
Yep.
You know, all of these things that line up like that. The fact that it's on the West Coast as well. Like, so it's 5 p.m. on the West Coast. So it starts at 8, 8 Eastern, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's crazy. It's amazing that they're able to hype it and continue to do that. And the last thing I'll say on this subject is that there has been a lot of criticism that came out in the past about their handling of the timing of it all. Now, from a producer's mindset, I've ran a lot of events, whether it was like church related or otherwise. Trying to keep things on a pace or schedule is a nightmare. And then doing it at this scale when you're doing things with, streaming online and you have so many, you have things with advertisers and you have things that you've promised these game devs, hey, at this point in the show, because you got to imagine they're taking their historical data from years past, right? And saying like, this is where we have the pinnacle. This is where the most people are watching. And so people are paying specifically for slots. I don't have that actual information, but that's how my mind works, right? Where you say like, hey, you're going to announce your game at the 2-hour mark of this 3-hour event. And that's, well, you're going to have this many people. And so you start slipping, doing all that kind of stuff. And then you got game devs going rogue and dropping F-bomb this, F-bomb that, which was super funny because they had him get up and present. That same guy, his name's Joseph Ferris. And a few years back, he got up and he was cussing all over the place. And honestly, it kind of looked like a drunken like rant that he did. But Jeff, to his credit, he's turned it into this like redemption story where that same guy, he won Game of the Year like the next year for the game that he was going off about the year before, which was It Takes Two. It's the little co-op, you play one other person split screen. And then Joseph Ferris came back this year to announce his next game, which is kind of in the same vein, the same, co-op type thing called Split Fiction. So another game he was announcing. I say all this to say, like, the nightmare of being on stage and having this guy just continue to rant when his thing was supposed to be like 20 seconds. And not only has it gone on a minute and a half, he has dropped multiple F-bombs where you got kids, parents with their kids watching, things of that sort. And it's just like, I can't even imagine all of that in the conversations they're having each year about getting better. And they did so well. Like there were memes that came out from last year where they were just flashing on the teleprompters, like wrap it up, like when people were going, and then the time would be counting down like into the negatives, like when they were doing it, like get off the stage, like all caps, underlined, bolded, italicized, like all this crap. And they just did a lot better this year. They just allowed a lot more awards to be received on the stage, and they allowed a lot more people to get up and have the spotlight and do that. And so this was the decade mark of the Game Awards. And so I'm looking forward to the future with it. And even though this year we were a little disappointed with the game offering that they were celebrating, they still did a tremendous thing. And Astrobot, for anyone who does care, Astrobot won Game of the Year, which I did 100%. So I liked it enough to play it all the way through. So you boys have anything else on the Game Awards? Anything at that point? I've gone a little longer than I wanted to, but we can get moved on. If you,
it's going to be a good year for video games.
It is.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
year
excited for the next Game Awards. This one was whatever. Next one's going to be good.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Cannot wait. Looking forward to for sure going to work it out to have a watch party next year, because it's going to be too good of a year to not do that. So,
we might have to bring back the Game of the Year or the fantasy pick.
Oh,
because we did that a couple of years ago.
That is happening. That is for sure happening. I totally forgot. Yeah. I forgot that we did that in the past.
We did.
We will be bringing that back, and I'm gonna. You just sent me into a whirlwind, Nick. So thanks for that. So, anyways, topic number 2. We're going to move off of topic number 1. That was our video game talk for the week. So if that's all you're here for, please stick around, because we're having good other nerdy conversations here in a little bit. So, Nick, you had brought up that you wanted to discuss something about a white elephant gift exchange that you had today, and then that brought up other feelings of rage and confusion and sadness and all kinds of things
professionalism and
in myself. So I'm gonna let you get out what you wanted to present, and then I would like to put an addendum towards the end of the topic as well, with some of my opinions on it.
Yeah. Like you said, I had a gift exchange today. We did an office Christmas party with the team that I used to work on. I work for the same company still. I'm just in a different area of the company, working on different software. But I've known a lot of the people that work on the old vertical. I've known them for a long time. Personal relationships. One of the guys I grew up with. I've known him since elementary school. So I'll go and hang out with them. I still have access to the building. It is a LexisNexis office. I am allowed to go there and work. I have a desk. It's got all my crap on it, race cars and model planes and whatnot. So when they have office parties, since my team is fully remote and based out of Bozeman, Montana, which is a very far drive, I just participate in these office gatherings, right? We get free food and do all that stuff. So we had the white elephant. This year, the memo discouraged people from bringing just alcohol. Last year, there were, 5 or 6 people who had just brought, alcohol gift set from Walmart or whatever.
It sounds like Marian University.
Yeah, right. A little less Catholic, but close. So today we had 21 people. They're usually somewhere between 20 and 30 people. So it's a good time.
Substantial.
Yeah, so there was only one person who brought booze this time. There were several really good gifts, several very funny gifts that were kind of like inside jokes, but like I said, everybody's known each other in that office for a long time, so it was good. However, the reason I wanted to bring this up, somebody brought a gift that was so unreasonable that I almost was angered. And the only reason I didn't actually have angry words with whomever brought this gift was because of how it resolved itself. So the person that opened the gift took the tissue paper out. The first thing was a small, I think it was called a gerbil carrier or whatever. It was basically one of those little plastic animal carriers that you would put a gerbil in to move it to a different location if you had to take it to the vet or something. I mean, I'm talking 1 to 2 cups worth of water could fit in this thing. It's very small. The next thing they pull out of the bag is a fucking beta fish. And I immediately said, everybody laughed and, was like, who brought a food? What is going on? And as soon as there was a lull in the din of people reacting to this beta fish, I said, hey, just so you guys know, for a beta fish to live healthily, it's got to have at least a 10-gallon aquarium with a filter system set up and no other fish in it. And everybody was just kind of like, for like 30 seconds, it really brought down the mood. And so the guy, it wasn't his fault. The guy that got the fish was like, to be honest, I don't know if it's going to live that long for me to get a 10-gallon aquarium. I'm like, that's normally how it goes when somebody is gifted a beta fish. Luckily,
don't give animals, folks.
No, do not bring a live animal to a gift exchange. You should never give a live animal as a gift unless you've already talked to the person about it and they're planning around that. So if you're a grandparent or you're an aunt or an uncle, do not buy your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whomever, a puppy, a kitten, a lizard, whatever, without clearing that with the people who have to take care of it. So luckily, as we're going on for this white elephant, people are stealing gifts, right? So one lady gets her gift stolen. She takes the beta fish from the guy who got it. And I was like, she said something about having an aquarium. And I'm like, you're going to go buy an aquarium or whatever? She goes, I already have one. I said, all right, well, make sure you cycle it or whatever. She goes, no, I have one that's set up. I had a beta fish that just recently died.
Oh,
and
wow.
She was like, I was like, there's no way this lady has a beta fish habitat ready to go. And she took it home after. She ran
Wow.
home, took him home, put him in the aquarium, came back. So that worked out. But in any other situation,
Oh my god,
granted,
that fish is toast.
yeah, it's a beta fish. Okay. Like it's not, it's not a border collie. Okay. It's not doing higher reasoning. But it's still like, why would you do that? I don't understand. That's the closest
It's a
to
living
being,
thing.
yeah, it's the closest to being on board with PETA that I'll ever be. But like, that was just, come on, man. You can't.
Yeah.
And it's not even that it's a fish, right? I don't care. Flush that fish, whatever. I've done worse things to when I worked at a fishery in high school. But you're giving somebody else an insane amount. It like, if they choose to be a reasonable and ethical person, that's a whole lot of responsibility for a guy in his 50s to have to go buy an aquarium, cycle it, make sure it's set up, make sure you have like plants and food and filters and a heater and lights
Get your
and a
pH
stand.
right.
Yeah. Testing kits. You have to do water changes every week. Like an
Metrics.
aquarium hobby
Yeah.
is not just a willy-nilly thing. Unless you have a koi pond, you're just throwing goldfish in your backyard. And even then it's not. So you're forcing them to make a decision. Like, do I want to care for this living thing or do I want to just let it die? And that, yeah, I don't know. I was a little irritated by that, but I ended up having a good time regardless. So
There you go.
it did work out.
A few questions. What did you end up with?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I guess that was a shorter question than you were expecting when you took a drink, right?
No, I figured you were going to ask. I ended up, so the first thing I grabbed was in a Toy Story gift bag. I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the ladies in the office was like, you want that bag because you're a child. And I was like, come on. Like,
yes.
Nice joke, whatever. And then I opened the bag and I said, God damn it. And she goes, what? And I go, well, the contents of this bag are childish. And the fact that I'm excited that I picked this gift is not helping me at all. It was a Lego car. It was like what the Mustang, the Speed Champions or whatever. It ended up getting stolen, but I ended up with a little tin of chocolates and some coasters that are like made out of wood, laser engraved wood, and they look like NES cartridges from. There's Mario, Metroid.
It's kind of cool.
Super Mario Bros. 3, and I can't remember what the fourth one was. Yeah, it was
sweet,
fine.
honestly.
Yeah,
so
it worked.
My next question was, so the person who brought the gift, like for their whatever, what they provided to the exchange, are they someone that has been on the team for a while, or like, do they have any kind of history of doing like weird gifts, things of this
I don't
sort,
know who brought the fish.
Oh, really? So
I didn't find out.
It's a secret. That's how.
Yeah, I only
know a couple of. So like one guy got it looked like a wine bag kind of. He opened it up. It was a shake weight, and which is hilarious because he's been working for that company for a long time. And the guy that brought it had also they've been working together for a very long time, several years. And that was a previous gift exchange gift that the guy who brought it had. Like you could even see where the price sticker was on it. They got ripped off. So the guy who got it was like irritated, but thought it was funny because, it's been around. So yeah, I don't know who brought the fish. I didn't ask. I don't think they would have told me because I think they could sense the irritation when I was talking about it. But
animosity.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting, and I guess that even plays into where I wanted to kind of tag along, which is I think that white elephant gift exchanges are like the worst, like just the worst. I can't stand the vibe that it gives. So we were discussing a little bit and we're like, all right, well, let's record our conversation, not just talk about it before and then have to rehash everything. So we're going to rehash a little bit here at the front, but essentially the concept of like, I think you have to strike it's like the most intricate Venn diagram in my mind. So you have to have people. So you almost hit like a lot of them, right, with this thing. So you said it's like, it was a good amount of people. You knew the people. You had been on the team for a while, things of that sort. But then you start falling into the situation. And Walker, I think you said earlier, is like work is not a good environment for a white elephant gift exchange, because not only are you dealing with like, it's kind of the one place where it's like there's the top level humor that you just have where you come in and say, oh, living the dream, that kind of stuff as you come in, and stuff that's like in the office, like water cooler type humor stuff. But it's a place where typically people are expressing their humor oftentimes. Like sometimes you're not. Sometimes someone knocks it out of the water and they just like, they bring something that's like incredible and like way too much, right? And then everyone's trying to get that thing. So that kind of can tip the scales in one way. And then sometimes you get where you'll have someone who shows up every damn year with a carton of eggs, and they decide that is their running joke, and they think that's the funniest thing in the world. And I'm not going to name any names because it's an oddly specific thing, but they're going to show up every damn year to this white elephant gift exchange. And even when they've been told by the CIO of the entire university, do not bring eggs to next year's thing, it just adds fuel to the fire for them. And they think it's the funniest thing ever.
In retrospect, I find it really funny. I find it hilarious.
It's pretty fucking hilarious, honestly.
Okay. It's hilarious if you do it right and you have the right personality and sense of humor for it. That wasn't generally the case. The guy had good intentions. He just was a space cadet. But I do find it hilarious now. But
yeah,
sorry.
Honestly, as I say it out loud, it is the presentation's a little funny. Like how I framed it, like it is a funny concept, but I think like what you were saying, where you have like everyone has tried to hit this bar here, and then like, yeah, I wasn't there for the first year of it, like when it had happened. This predated me. I know it predated you, obviously, since you came to the university after me.
I only did one Christmas party because it was like 2019 and then COVID, and we have Christmas party and all that. Yeah.
Yep. So I was there for 3 of them, like in person or whatever. And this individual wasn't there for like my last one. But it's just one of those things where like having it be something that's like a running thing. And then the other problem was we didn't strike any kind of balance in any capacity. So we had like the CIO of the university, we had VPs of the university, we had
That's
HR.
weird,
the entire HR department was in our thing. The IT department, the entire IT department. So not just the IT help desk, but the infrastructure team, who they were recluses on their own and they didn't really like to integrate with other stuff. And we have the app dev team, which they just had their own vibe. They're down in the basement hanging out in their little low light areas and doing their thing. And, we all came together and it was just this weird, the whole finance department, like this entire thing, man, it just was all pulled together. And so you had like such a wide range of, like, some people were young, but then you had like some of the older folks bringing in like really nice like alcohol and stuff of this sort, which is why I said that earlier. It's like, I'm not joking. We're at a Catholic university. They're totally cool with during parties for the workday, or like at the tail end of the workday, then be like, hey, we're gonna have some drinks here, or even like student ran things of that sort. It's like, hey, like, yeah, we're gonna ID you, but like, it's that concept. So people would bring really nice alcohol and things of this sort. So it's just this concept of like the only thing that was being brought with the eggs. It's not like it was like a carton of eggs and then inside it had like a little gift card or something like that. It was just literally $12
of eggs.
Yeah. And so,
yeah,
I don't know. It's one of those things. And then the last piece I'll say, and why I have such strong feelings of, so we did a couple of years ago, we did a white elephant gift exchange. I guess it was last year, with Heather's 2 residency classes. So her class and the class under her. But the problem is, it wasn't just the just the co-residents who all knew each other really well that interacted with that. It was all the significant others as well, right? Because I understand you're trying to pull people in, but again, you're not striking that balance of like, how do we know each other, things of this sort. And there were some red flags with some of the individuals that are going to be involved with the exchange, things of that sort.
Oh, really?
If you knew like the people who were there, right? You knew that there were some of us that don't drink. Like I don't drink, so it's like if I get an alcohol thing, like I'm not going to be mad about it. Like it's a white elephant gift exchange. Like I have very low expectations on what I'm getting. But what is the thing called where you get is it like getting iced, like the Smirnoff Ice or whatever?
Oh yeah.
So in the middle of this, I open up the bag, like whatever I pick, like in the middle of it, and I get it. And the dude who brought it started being like the biggest a-hole in the entire world, like about the fact, and I matched his energy like to a T. And I was like, I cannot believe you brought this. And then you expected that like a room full of adults, we were just going to like do, whatever. I don't know. It just turned sour. And then finally someone else was like, hey, I'll swap you, do whatever. And like, bless Cody. Cody hopped in and did all that. But
I think the mature thing to do in that situation is chug the Smirnoff Ice and then immediately puke it back up.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know.
I've been sober for 10 years, but now I drank Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna push me off, and it's not even that for me, right? Like it's not like a sobriety thing or anything of that sort. It's just like it was fully contextual on the individual.
That's insane behavior.
And so
for a random group of people, yeah.
Well, yeah,
and
we're like resident. Yeah.
It's not like the time I got iced at a bar when I was already drinking with my friends, like, oh, you got me, I'm going to chug this. Yeah. Like, you're going to, either you or your significant other are going to be a doctor soon. We're wearing suits and dresses. I just told you I don't drink alcohol, and you're being a dickhead about me not chugging this woman's drink.
Piece of shit Smirnoff Ice.
It was the persistence that
I can't say it's a woman's drink. Women drink better things than Smirnoff Ice. Okay, this is for toddlers.
Yeah, well,
you heard it here first, folks. Nick supports child drinking.
So, anyways, that's kind of like where my feelings come from. Walker, what are your opinions on it?
Yeah, I loved the white elephants I participated in. Because it was with my fellow trip leaders in college. I ran backpacking trips. So myself and one or two other people would take 5 to 12 of our fellow students on, backpacking, canoeing, hiking trips or whatever. So we were all intimately familiar with one another. I've spent weeks at a time backpacking with these people. And we had a $10 limit, and that was fucking awesome. It was so much fun. I bought a softcore porn book from CVS with one with like the dude with no shirt and the woman with her dress
Fabio.
ripped.
Fabio on the cover.
It was hilarious, and all the gifts were garbage, and we were just hanging out and drinking and having dinner, and it was fun. So, but these were some of my very, very close friends from college whom we had spent many, many hours suffering together.
On that note, I am doing it got postponed, but we're doing a Friendsgiving this weekend on Sunday with my buddies from the Army. And we always do a gift exchange the same way, white elephant or whatever. But the running joke is that, and this gift predates me like going to Friendsgivings. I've known these guys for close to a decade, but most of the time, well, not most of the time, first couple of years, it's like I would see them at drill and we would message on Discord or whatever. And it took a while before I could actually like go hang out and do all the get-togethers and stuff. So there is a gift that gets passed every year. And now it's a competition to see who can't get the gift. And even if you get the gift in the off season, there is a chance that it will end up at somebody else's house covertly. It is a ring toss game It's a butt plug ring toss. I don't know where it came from. Obviously, some sort of novelty store, Spencer's Gifts or something. It's so old that the plastic, it's never been opened. Obviously, the plastic is like starting to yellow and fade just because it's old.
Lord!
It was at somebody's house. We wanted to give it back to another guy. My buddy brought it down while I was working on the other guy's computer. Hid it inside the computer or whatever. Gave it back to him. Somehow it ended up back in my house, and I put it in my gift exchange gift last year, like underneath some crossword puzzles or some shit that I put in the bag. And it was the first year that our buddy Kenny's girlfriend, Kathy, was doing the Friendsgiving with us. She was very excited. She cooked some homemade noodles and did all this stuff. We had a great time. And then she's the one that picked that gift. Everybody lost it. She was very confused. Kenny had to explain the whole situation. As soon as I saw her grab the bag, I was fighting demons to hold my laughter.
I'm sure, man. I'm sure.
That's good.
So we do dumb stuff like that. We don't really do a limit because nobody's buying crazy expensive stuff.
No, you not to do that shit. Yeah.
Well, unless you were going to, that was going to be something really funny. It's like you spent this on, and then that kind of turns into something of its own. But
to your point, Walker, of these people personally. So there's last year, the two best gifts were some custom canvases that were made. And, they're like 17 by 11 or whatever pictures printed on canvas. And there was a picture that was taken of my buddy Alex at our friend's son's graduation party, where it's one of those folding chairs, but it's like a bench that our buddy takes to soccer practice when he coaches soccer. And Alex was sitting on one end of it with his arm up, and there's nobody else on the bench. It's just him on one end of an 8-person bench. And so somebody photoshopped it so that the background was like a post-apocalyptic city. It was like buildings were falling down, the world's ending, and he's just sitting on a bench. And then the other one was our buddy Aaron. They had gone hiking in the dunes, and he sand dunes. So he had no shoes on. He had his pant legs rolled up, and he had made it to the top of this hill, and it wiped him out. So he's laying in the sand with a water bottle, and they took that shot and photoshopped it onto it's like an overhead view of a kitchen counter. And there's a bunch of mixer, whisks and seasoning and stuff. And there's a mixing bowl, and inside the mixing bowl is a picture of Aaron laying in the sand. So those are the two good ones. It's very niche inside jokes that got turned around, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But even in the awkward, it was a little less awkward because I know all the people at work, but even the awkward gifts that nobody wants, you can at least sit there and make a joke about it, and everybody can laugh and be like, okay, yeah, it was a sucky gift, but whatever, it's funny. You're not taking it too seriously.
Right.
I think I guess on my scale, it's just the upsides for me personally with the white elephant just don't outweigh in particular situations. So one thing that came to mind with the revolving funny item or something like that moves through. So Dougie, when him and Erica started dating, he bought, all of Heather's family loves Lord of the Rings, things of that sort. And so he wanted to buy something for Erica. And so he went on Etsy or something and bought a bookend. If I'm remembering this correctly, I think it was a bookend, but it's Gollum and holding the ring or something of that sort. Boys, when I tell you the most heinous statue of Gollum arrived, and it was one of those things where Austin gave it to her, and he knew, obviously this looks nothing like the listing. It was the most horrendous thing. So then it has turned into a situation where it was given to someone else, and then now I think Cameron and Jenna, they're down in North Carolina. They have it. they're a little aloof, like with like the thoughtfulness to be like, okay, who do I have this next year coming up? Like, give it. I don't know that it'll continue, but if it doesn't this year, I think that someone would bring it up and then they would remember for the next year. So I do expect that will travel around.
I'm going to find them on your Facebook and send them this episode so that they know.
That is true. That's true.
So they know.
I should do that. We're not doing it till the 28th, so it's a little after Christmas. So
you got some time. You got time.
I do have time. So have to give them one timestamp to this one exact story. So, well, boys, that was a good conversation on white elephants and the feelings there. I have strong feelings. I think Secret Santas are just the better option for the wider group of things, especially now being able to use all the websites and stuff. But
Secret Santa stresses me out. It stresses me out it stresses me out making a wish list. I don't want to, I hate asking for things. You know what I mean? Like, I can ask my wife for stuff. That's okay because, we've known.
She's your wife.
Lived together. Yeah, she's my wife.
But like, can't hold it in any longer.
And then picking something. Luckily, I think maybe I know the person well enough that the gift that I picked for them will be well received at the least. It's not going to knock anybody's socks off, probably, but I think it is neat, and I hope that they'll think it's neat. Right? Exactly. I'm not buying a video iPod. I'm not Michael Scott. Yeah. Okay. But it's just stressful to me because then like when I open the gift, I'm not good at receiving gifts in that, like, I don't show a lot of outward excitement and emotion about it. I have to autistically process what's happening, and I immediately go through all of these scenarios where I'm like, what is this going to be useful for? How am I going to use it? Where am I going to keep it? I do all that stuff. And so I seem aloof to the gift that I've received, and I don't want to make people upset thinking I didn't like their gift. So,
well, you're not going to have that issue on Saturday. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah. And then what if the gift?
Well, tell Walker what happened because he didn't hear this.
I didn't know.
No, I didn't hear that. I was listening. I could hear y'all the whole time.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, tell everyone now because you brought it up. And
tell the people.
So I almost never work in the office, right? So I go to the office specifically for the Christmas party, and Kristen texts me this afternoon, and she goes, "Hey, you got a package from Heather?" And I said, "Swinson?" And she said, "Yeah." And I was like, well, that really ruins the secret part of the Secret Santa. And she was, I just thought that was funny. So I immediately messaged Sax and I was like, hey, was this supposed to be a secret? And he was like, well, yeah, loosely. Like, because on the gift that I sent, I didn't put my name, right?
What'd you put? Force the Santa?
Well, yeah, but now you probably just doxed me. So,
oh, sorry.
If whomever listens,
how everybody.
Yeah. That individual is not going to listen to this between now and 2 days from now. So
that's fair. I think they have a lot going on. They're probably not worried about our podcast. That's a good point.
And I ain't getting it out tonight anyway, so it'll probably be up for less than 24 hours by the time we have our gifting exchange.
Perfect. Actually, if you're listening to this on Sunday, that's because we didn't want to ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
Perfect. But so essentially Heather got Nick we do a little IRL friends gift exchange. So the people that we've broken the digital wall and the people we've met in person and stuff. So if you're in the clan, you're hearing this. This is not to exclude a bunch of people, but just makes a just little thing we do right now. Maybe we'll expand it later out from there. I can say because I know
in person.
I know. Yeah, we'll have to do another. We will have to do another meetup.
There's no excuse. Meetup. Scream came from Canada. There's no excuse.
Manitoba.
Yep, Sam Manitoba made it all the way down to Louisville.
Except for maybe the people in the clan that live in like Australia or in London or whatever.
Yeah, well, they might have an excuse.
So here's what I'll say. I know that Australia, New Zealand, stuff like they are closer to each other, but I know that it's not like they're around the corner, right? Like Australia is still enormous, things of that sort. But
it's
Heather,
a continent.
It's very
right?
big.
I know, but like when you're
Shockingly
thinking about the
few
world,
people live
like
there for how big it is.
right, and
It's
all
the
along the
desert.
coast, just on the coast. So, did you guys know? Like, maybe this was common knowledge in this complete rant here, but I didn't realize. I thought that Mad Max was just always in like an alternate like planet type situation. Did you know it's just in Australia? Like,
Yeah, that's like the whole fucking point. Have you
well,
not
I
watched
mean,
the old Mad Max movies?
no, I've never watched the old
Oh,
Mad Max
they're
movies.
good. The old
I've
ones,
only
but it's
watched
like very clearly this is just Australia with cars and bondage.
yeah. So Fury
So
Road
Australia,
was
I guess.
Fury
Yeah,
Road
it's
was
just-
literally the first one I saw. So I didn't even realize that until I
Well,
watched
Fury Road's
like
fucking awesome, but
yes, it is. Yep. So, but anyways, the concept of like Heather would like she desperately wants to go at some point in her life to New Zealand. She wants to explore
Just got to walk
all
the
the Lord of
Mordor.
the Rings stuff and
Yeah.
things of that sort. So
Yep.
I guess the concept I was saying is that is a lot closer, and it would be a lot easier for me to meet people from Australia that are in the Force to Wipe clan.
Yeah.
If I go there, than it is where I'm sitting currently. So just something to say about that. But I also thought that about seeing Snowy and our UK bruvs, but none of them made any effort to come meet me. I was like, boys, I'm doing way more than halfway here. Like you guys could just skip over to
It's
Italy.
just
I'm sure it's
several
not that far.
hours from me.
Skip over to Italy. Yeah.
Doing
It's
all
just a
that,
train
so,
ride, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things. It's really cool having people around the world do that. And yeah, Screeb came down for a short while, less than 48 hours, but he made the trek and did all that. He almost didn't get
Mad
home
props.
because we stayed up till like 4:30 or something like that, and his flight
We were
left at like,
vibing.
I'm not even kidding, his like I had to pick him up back from the house at like 6 or 6:30, and I was at the house still till 4:30 that night, just
Yep.
hanging
At that
out.
point, I
So
would have
went
just
home.
waited.
I should have.
Yeah.
I went home, went to bed, and woke up to like panic texts from him and all this stuff. So I don't know. It was one of those things. It all worked out though, because the Louisville airport, especially that early, super tiny. Walker's been there. You get through nearly immediately.
Easy peasy.
I dropped him off. I'm like, hey, if you have any issues, let me know. But I was beat, so I was heading home, and he texted me. I'm not even kidding. Probably 7 minutes later, says, "Hey, I'm at my gate." Like that's how fast it was.
Yep.
He was still there early, so
Security
sorry,
just
Screeb.
looked at him and said, "Yeah, you good."
It was like, yeah, you're good, man.
yeah. So, but no, we're happy that holidays are here, boys. We're here. We're all doing stuff. We don't really know. We've got some things cooking up. I don't know what the holidays are going to look like for the podcast. So this could be till the new year, the last episode you're getting, but we're going to get that going. And then
might have a episode from Florida.
Yeah. We're going to work some things out.
Am I allowed to talk about
I'm not
travel?
traveling, or I'm not traveling anything for the holidays.
No, we don't talk about travel on this podcast.
Okay.
No,
right.
never talk about travel until we dedicate an entire episode to it. So, well, y'all,
that'll be the day.
If you're listening to this for Christmas, have a good holiday. Merry Christmas. All those things together. And if you're not, if it's after, I hope you had a good one. And we'll talk to you next time.